So I noticed a trend.
Yeah.
We get up early to do these podcasts, and I don't know what it is, but it's that one night every week that my daughter decides to just not sleep.
Nice.
It's like torture, yeah. So, um,
Did you at least get any sort of a reprieve from the clock change? Like, did she sleep in?
ah, um,
I guess
she
she still asleep? I
she
guess is what I'm asking.
she is still asleep. Having been asleep since probably I don't even know 3 or something.
Right.
Oh, yeah, rough. It's kind of her new thing to like just suddenly become wide awake in the middle of the night and like want to play. And so we're like
Yeah.
laying there and she's like just talking to us or like playing peekaboo and stuff. And it's cute, so you're kind of laughing a little bit, but you're at the same time it's like, oh, why?
Yeah.
So you'll have to excuse me for my groany voice, which I don't know. I feel like it's maybe the second or third week in a row, but yeah, I'm here. I made it. I got up.
Well, I think vocal fry is all the rage these days anyway.
All
So
right. All right.
I'm sure you're making lots of our listeners excited. So
Yeah, my contribution to
yeah.
this podcast is that's
uh,
on the money.
yeah. So our kid, his sleeping patterns have just always sucked. And I don't know. There's like I saw some blog one time that's like everything I've learned about baby sleeping patterns, and they list like every single piece of advice that they've gotten from like 10 different books, and like every single piece of advice contradicts every other single piece of advice.
Is it more
So
like here's everything we heard, just try everything? Oh man, kind of
yeah,
like
basically
hands in the
it's
air
like
type list.
yeah, it's like never let them cry it out, always let them cry it out. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, we basically gave up on trying any other people's advice, and we just did what we felt worked for us. And now that we've moved to Montreal, we're now at a point where he has his own room instead of
Wonderful.
us just co-sleeping.
How's it working out?
Uh, Not as well as I'd like,
Mm,
because he's so used to co-sleeping at this point that he
yep.
has a hard time sleeping without it. So inevitably one of us does end up going in and sleeping with him anyway.
Right. Oh, so
Um,
it's you going to his room now.
yeah.
Um,
So
right.
like if Andrea and I sleep together, then at some point in the night he'll wake up and he'll come and get one of us. Uh,
So is it like a toddler bed he has?
he has a Japanese futon, so it's just on the floor.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, he just gets up, and it's a double size, so it's big enough that we can all
Right.
lay down on it.
Right, right. So
Um,
there's no chance of you getting in a baby bed and breaking it.
right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, he'll either come get us, or every now and then I'm just like, okay, I'm too tired to deal with being woken up. I'm just gonna go lay in there and go to sleep, and that way when he wakes up, he'll just go right back to sleep because he's already got someone.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
at least for the past 2 weeks, I've been working on gradually getting him to fall asleep on his own without
Okay.
one of us being in the room. So it just like started with, okay, we're not going to lay down with you anymore. I'm going to sit here and I'll hold your hand until you fall asleep. And now what we do is like we are still in his room, but we're like around a little corner, so he can't see us,
Hmm.
but he knows that we're there, and then he falls asleep. And so tonight is going to be the first night that I'm going to try being like outside with the door closed, and we'll see how
Wow.
that pans out.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. Okay. Well, I so our kid was sleeping like as perfect as one could want before our big trip to Japan in November.
Yeah.
Um, Literally, like when it was bedtime, I would carry her in. She would be still awake. I'd put her into her bed, and I'd say goodnight, and she'd say goodnight back to me, and I would leave the room, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes she'd just be like awake, laying there, looking up at me. I'd be like, okay, see ya. No crying, nothing. Just leave, and that's it. She goes to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
especially now that things are not so nice, it's hard to even believe it was ever like that.
Yeah.
But now, you know how some kids have their like security thing, like the famous security blanket or whatever, and
Right.
if they don't have it, they just lose it. Well, she seems to have developed a security thing, and that thing, for whatever reason, of all things, is Key's throat. So she like puts her in the most gentle chokehold ever and goes to sleep every night, every single night. So if Key's not there, no way, she's not sleeping.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's us being lazy or what, but she also got sick for a while and was really like stuffy and waking up a lot. So
Yeah.
since coming back, it's not been working out too well. It's been her in our bed pretty much every night.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was like for us too, right? Is like we've traditionally lived in a tiny apartment, so like in Vancouver, we only had the one bedroom, so we didn't really have a choice other than co-sleeping.
Right.
And we were getting to a point where we were able to like put him to sleep at night and go do our own thing as opposed to like going to sleep with him. But we've flown a few times with him, and like every time we go somewhere new, it like changes his sleep patterns again.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem.
Yeah, it's frustrating because we know that like I like suspect that all this effort I'm going through right now is just going to get ruined in June when we go to Toronto for a week.
Nice.
Well,
Not nice, but nice you have a trip planned, I guess.
Yeah. Oh well, it is what it is.
Babies, man.
It's been way easier for us to just go along with what he wants, and we're all getting rest at night as opposed to like trying to fight and.
Yeah.
I just once I'm asleep, I want to stay asleep. So I'm pretty willing to just like go and lay down next to him if that's what it takes.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, we were getting kind of lazy. I say we're getting lazy, but really that's what it amounts to. Like, life's busy, kid is interfering with sleep, just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on that note, aside from sleep patterns, he has also been showing an interest in video games.
Excellent. I am experiencing something similar. That's great.
I think the Xbox store was giving away some like retro-y Final Fantasy 15 beat 'em up game.
Okay.
It's like an hour long. They did it to promote. It was originally like a pre-order bonus that you got for pre-ordering the game.
Yeah.
But they gave that away for free, so I installed it this weekend on my Xbox. And so the kid comes over and he's like, "Daddy, play video game."
Nice.
And then he opens up the drawer where I've got the GameCube and he's like, "Play purple one."
Awesome.
So I installed one game on one system, but then we ended up playing a game called Ribbit King.
Oh yeah, River King, yeah.
So we ended up playing that on the GameCube.
Nice. Does he actually play with you, or is he more of a
He
spectator?
holds the second controller, and I put it on one player, but the AI gets a turn, and so he thinks he's playing.
Oh, nice.
And this seems to be the only game so far that I've tried that with where he actually buys it.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, Luca's she likes spectating for sure. She's more interested in that and in like physically handling the games. Like, I just have a bunch of them laid out and she's like, this one, and keeps like switching them up, like pulling it out of the system and putting the new one in. And then like when I finally get her to stop for a second and play a game, she'll like point at the things on the screen like robot, Luigi, whatever, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't really get it yet. Like, I'm trying to say like press this button and stuff happens, and she's little.
Yeah. There was a game I actually tried getting him to play it a while ago called Grow Home.
Okay.
And he seemed to get the fact that he could move the joystick and the character would move, or he could move the other joystick and the camera would move.
Okay.
So he was just like, aimlessly making everything spin.
Mm-hmm.
But he seemed to identify the fact that he was making it move, and he seemed pretty happy just by that fact.
Nice. It's sounds that my kid likes. So like if it's a game where, let's say it's an old game and you press the button and the character jumps and makes like a boing noise like that, like she'll press it and hear the boing and get like kind of excited. But if it's a game where, like, say it's just something she's moving around, I don't know if she quite gets the movement yet.
Right.
So
And so then, other than my kid playing a game with me, I also got to play a game with my wife this week.
nice.
There's a game called Ibn Ab.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
No, I'm not.
It was an indie game that came out a few years back on the PlayStation 3.
Already.
And it's a pretty cool game. It's designed to be 2-player, and if you don't have a second player, you control both players with one controller.
Okay.
So it's like it's a pretty simple puzzle platforming type game, but you can jump through these. Like the world is split into two, and if you're on the top side of a platform, then you jump and you go up. But if you're on the bottom side, you jump and you go down.
All right. Cool.
So like gravity always pulls you into the center of the screen.
Okay. Sounds like a Mega Man level. Kind of.
But yeah, it's like to do some of the jumps, you have to work with each other. Like you've got to jump on one character, and then like the character on the bottom will jump, and then at the peak of their jump, you jump and stuff to like get as much height as possible. And
did she enjoy this?
Yeah,
Cool.
it's like 8 hours in total, so we're not very far in, but yeah,
It's completable.
She seemed to like it. She doesn't play too many games, so
Yeah.
we got through 4 full levels, I think.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've actually, I mean, I give Key a lot of credit. She's been playing a lot of games with me lately, which I think is kind of it's like a 2017, like let's do the things we're interested in more together, kind of concerted effort. But she is, let me see. She's in the 3rd level in the Dark World in Link to the Past, which is really impressive for me. Like, wow, playing a game, holy crap. And then yesterday, I guess one of the benefits to just having all these physical games everywhere, well, I've always felt it's a benefit, or it's a fun thing to do, is just to like, because I mean, I haven't played all these games, right? There's just so many. So just to kind of pull random fun-looking games and just try them and just like kind of tear through like 20 games in one night and just try a bunch. So we've been doing that kind of thing every now and then. And yesterday we were playing like the sumo wrestling game a while, and then this other stupid game, and then we played Mario.
Is that the sumo one on the Famicom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing that a little bit on my
Nice.
mini.
Oh, is it? I wonder if it is that one that it has. I'd have to look. It's one it's kind of, I don't know if it's famous, but it's like the sumo game for the old Nintendo. Anyway, we were just playing a few games last night. That was fun. I wouldn't say we made progress per se, but it's just fun to get together.
Is it called Tsupari Sumo?
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Despite having owned the game for like 15 years and finding it fun enough to just play every now and then, I've never actually sat down and figured out the controls. It's really just a mash buttons and hope the other sumo falls off kind of game.
Yeah, that's basically what I was doing too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so any other games that you've been up to this week, or shall we jump straight into reminiscing about arcades?
Reminiscing about arcades, man. It's been kind of a light week. I think I'd mentioned I was like trying to play an hour a day of games.
Yeah.
I kind of, I mean, I of course enjoy games very much, but when it becomes like an item on my calendar, I'm starting to get kind of dragged out by it. It'd be like I'd be busy, and then it'd be like 11 p.m. and I haven't played any games yet, and the kid is still awake, and I'd be like, kind of just cramming random time in and cutting back on sleep.
Yeah.
So I kind of relaxed that a little bit this week, just to get a little more sleep and chill out and I don't know, just be happier really. So I'm still playing FTL, just trying some of the, I'm really casually playing it. I'd like to probably beat it at least on normal mode and with some of the other ships, and just I just turned on the extended mode features. So that's kind of my go-to game right now. But there's a few other games on my up-and-coming list that I'm pretty eager to play and finish off. I'm actually, since the new Zelda game got all these raving reviews, I'm thinking of going through and getting the other Zelda games I haven't beaten yet.
Yeah.
And just finishing them off. So chronologically, the next in that order is actually the Four Swords game on GameCube,
Right.
which I've always kind of struggled with because I have no one to play it with. I have no consistent person to play it with. But now that Key is playing games with me, I'm thinking maybe we could make this our weekly game to just blast through.
Yeah, I mean,
and
if
finish.
she's enjoying Link to the Past, then it's not a far stretch to try getting into that one next.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, it's two players at the same time.
Yeah.
Even for me, it's like a lot of fun having played the other Four Swords game. So I think it would, work out pretty well. The time has come. So that's, I think, next on my list, probably.
Nice. Yeah, I guess part of what it inspired me to want to talk about arcade games this week is just the fact that one of my coworkers brought in a deck building game, just
like
a
a
card
board game. Yeah.
Which was Star Realms, and so we were playing that throughout lunch, which was pretty fun. And then it was kind of inspiring me to try to play some multiplayer with Andrea, and reminded me of various arcade experiences and stuff, because I think gaming is quite a bit different when you're on your couch in front of a TV as opposed to like in a public place. And
I've always thought, for me anyway, like social gaming is just the most fun thing to me. And for a lot of people that means some sort of like multiplayer game online or something. But for me, it's always like my friends in a room together playing. It's just a lot of fun. So like lately we've been talking about what games we're playing and trying to beat. I like that too. Like I like finishing these long RPGs and stuff. But I remember me and a couple friends getting together and beating the first Silent Hill. We like came over and stayed up all night, like 3 nights. Three. It wasn't in a row, but like on a few separate occasions, and just played through the whole game. And we're all like playing together and getting scared together. Like it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was more fun than like me alone sitting in the room and just kind of la 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 playing through the game. So, be it a one-player game or a multiplayer game, I just find that a lot more fun. So even like a lot of these older like Nintendo games, like I'll have another enthusiastic friend come over and we'll like stay up all night and beat whatever Ghosts and Goblins or Adventure Island or these really hard games, and it's just a lot of fun for me. So like the arcade for me, obviously it's a different type of game. You're not really saving and loading, but I always liked that a lot, actually.
I always liked them. I think the earliest memory that I have with arcades was growing up in Nova Scotia. My family, my grandparents and cousins and stuff, were over in Prince Edward Island. And so back before the Confederation Bridge was built, the only way to get there was by ferry.
Yeah.
And
get to Nova Scotia. Get from Nova Scotia to PEI.
Yeah, yes. And there were arcades on all those ferries. So
Awesome.
that was like the thing that I was excited about. It's like I could care less about going to visit my grandparents for a long weekend and spending part of it in church and stuff. I was excited about getting to that arcade.
That's excellent. Wow, on the ferry. I wouldn't have thought. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. So I remember back then there was like the Terminator pinball games, and there was like Cruisin' USA.
Yeah, the stuff you get in like the movie theaters now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They I don't think they ever had air hockey on in the boat, because
nice.
It'd probably be a little bit unpredictable.
A little rough.
Yeah. But yeah, there was lots of those games. And I remember always being a fan of the ones where like there was a holstered gun of some sort and you got to pull that out and aim at stuff and shoot.
Yeah. Well, as time went on too, where like home consoles really developed. I mean, I know everyone's heard the story a million times, and that kind of led to the downfall of arcades or whatever. But before arcades really, when they were still a thing, and we lived in a world where everyone had like the arcade as an option and the home consoles as an option. That was the kind of thing that made the arcade special, right? It was like all the weird accessories, or like the whack-a-mole kind of like there's a physical aspect to the game, or the aiming gun or whatever. It was a lot of fun.
We actually took Laz to a small arcade shortly after coming to Montreal, and he loved whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
His reaction time was so bad that he never actually hit anything. He loved it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, as you probably know, or as people still often bring up, the arcades are, despite being in decline, still quite a thing in Asia, right?
Yeah.
And so when we were in Japan last, we went to like just near Key's parents' house. There's like I guess it's kind of a shopping center, but like a multi. It's like the one floor is all restaurants, one floor is like groceries, and one floor is or like two or three floors are like department floors, and then the top floor is about half department and half arcade or game center,
Right.
as they say. And so we that was the last. I think probably the last. No, that would be the second last. I've been to one since, but that was um, the first and only time I think I brought our kid to the arcade. And yeah, I think at this age, more so than staring at a screen, that's a lot, kind of those physical things like getting on the ride and getting on whatever is a lot of fun. Especially
Yeah.
actually, I think the ones that are a combination are the most fun for her. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. I think Key might have put some up, but there's like a Mario Kart game there. And
Yeah,
it's two
yeah.
players and you play each other. Yeah, she was actually quite enthusiastic about that. So I was like, yes, fun. She, yeah, of course, can't play it at all, but that's kids, right?
Yeah, there's it's funny because I think like I used to go to the arcade all the time on the boat, and then there may have been an arcade in Amherst that I remember going to once or twice. I don't remember there wasn't one in Truro, was there?
Oh, you don't remember the Truro
I
arcades?
don't think I went to it.
The two arcades in Truro?
I don't think I ever went to either of them.
Wow. When did you move to Truro?
95.
95. You might have missed the ball. I'm not sure. So at one point there was two arcades, one in the Truro Mall and one in that other. So in Truro, our little town growing up,
Yeah, yeah.
for whatever reason there was two malls and I think nothing else. Oh, remember the well, of course the Esplanade, the little
There was two malls because there
strip
was
mall.
one where
One was
the
near the highway.
businesses that had money went to, and then there was the other one
Flea
where
market mall.
people went to it, but you know, if you had money, you knew better than to open a business there because it was going to flood every year.
Yes, well, you've spoiled my story here. Arcade number two was at that mall and flooded. Oh man! And of all so that was the worst mall. No one went. It was awful, except for the flea market, which was awesome. But it had the better arcade.
Yeah,
Honestly, memories are quite hazy. I just remember loving it and going there often with my friends, and of course, Street Fighter 2 and stuff. I remember being so sad when it flooded because now we only have one arcade. We only
yeah.
have one arcade in Truro. This sucks. Of course, now there's no arcades, but the other one was in Truro Mall, right at the end. I don't know. Do you remember Toys and Wheels?
You know, I think I do remember that
No, it's
being
fine.
there.
It was
Because
beside.
I used to
Yeah.
work in that mall, and I think it may have still existed when I was working there.
Well, yeah, it was kind of.
There was like that bowling type game, right? And you could get tickets, right?
Yes, yep. And it also had like Street Fighter 2 and all the big titles.
Right.
I never, it's funny because when you read about arcades and you kind of hear about the arcade culture of the late 80s, early 90s or whatever, they always get like the bad rap about like that's where like the bad kids hang out or the kids skipping school or like the drug dealers or something. I don't know, but in
Maybe
Truro
that's-
anyway. Well, growing up, like the arcade was like geek zone. Like that was where the geeks went, right? Like no
Yeah.
one cool would ever be seen there, right?
Maybe
Is that-
maybe that's just a difference between the culture of different towns, because it's like
Maybe.
I think Truro is definitely geeky, but then if you look at that arcade that's on Granville Street in Vancouver,
That's sketch zone. The guy running it is like a no bullshit kind of guy.
well, you know, I remember we went there. Like, I don't remember if it was just I had moved there or you had moved there or what, but we were like meeting up for the first time in ages.
Ate noodles and went
we
to the
decided
arcade.
to meet up there because neither of us had been there. And hey, it's an arcade. Let's play video games. And then
And-
we get there. It's like 18 plus only, and we were playing one of the games, and then we decide we're going to explore a little bit more. We head towards the back, and it turns out it's actually like an adult cinema.
Yeah, like half of the place. Nice. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's a
then we
sketch
just like
figure.
left immediately and went and played video games at like Urban Outfitters or some other store where they had like
Yes.
a Nintendo hooked up.
Yeah, the Genesis with all the games on it or whatever. It's funny because I lived like a 2 minute walk from that arcade or whatever for the last 2 years I was in Vancouver. So I actually used to go fairly regularly because I had another friend who would call me like every whatever like midnight Saturday, like I don't know, drunk out of his mind, and be like, "Man, I have like 100 quarters. Let's go to the arcade." And I was like, okay." And he would just pay for the whole thing. And it was awesome. Uh,
Nice.
yes, nice indeed. We used-
But yeah, I had like pretty much barely gone to any arcades at all up until that point. And then I think I've actually gone to an arcade like at least 3 times since my kid's been born. So my frequency has gone up a little bit.
Interesting. Probably the opposite story for most people, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so we had a work event at my company. I might have told you this. And there's like an arcade in town in Seattle, GameWorks it's called, right in
Right.
downtown Seattle. Right, I don't know if you remember. Did you go there? I don't know. It's right outside the
No.
convention center. Yeah, it's actually fairly impressive, honestly. Like they have a bunch of new stuff, they have a bunch of old stuff, they have a bunch of like shooting games, racing games, whatever else. And the team event, it was like, here's a card, it's infinite plays, go do whatever you want. And that was nice because I mean, actually, I think this is the second time they've done that. There's another arcade in Bellevue we went to, and that was mostly newer games, which is cool. But this time we were like playing like all the cool shooting games and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's cool to see arcades continuing to exist. Anyway, I think it's fun that probably like when I was a kid, I felt like it was just a big lineup of arcade cabinets, whereas now that has somewhat diversified into like arcade cabinets and bowling games and all these other physical things, I guess. But it was cool though because like obviously there's people at my company who just don't care about games at all. They're not video game players, but then they'll play like the shooting game or like the whatever air hockey game. So I was impressed with the arcade's ability to appeal to a wide variety of tastes.
I think the things that I enjoyed the most were certainly those experiences like the car sims or like the gun games and stuff, because as much as I really liked like video games, I always felt cheated at arcades. Like I felt like playing like the Captain America game or Ninja Turtles games or any of those. It's like you just had to pump so many quarters in because it's like you'd lose your life and it's like, okay, feed a quarter or stop playing. And it's like, I don't know, part of it being that I as a kid never had a job up until the point I was 16, so it's like I had to rely on the dollar that I would get from my parents and no more than that.
Better hope you're very good at this game.
Yeah, it's like, so it's like you pay $1 and get nowhere in a game that is very similar to what you can play at home, or you pay $1 and play something that you can't play at home.
Yeah, that's actually it. That's I think why I probably enjoy arcades a lot more now, actually, because it's just like whatever. Right? It's just bring a few dollars, play, have fun, hang out with your friends and go home. Like when I was a kid, I had the exact same experience, right? Like it felt so limited in what you could do, and like it was okay. Like you'd have a few quarters and play Street Fighter once or twice, and then try another game. But it was always like, I wish I had like a bag, or I could smash this machine and just keep playing the quarter again and again, or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you ever into pinball? They had a lot of pinball machines there too.
I played them now and then. Like whenever we would go camping at campgrounds, there would tend to be a pinball machine or something, and
Okay.
I would play it. But I don't know. I've very consistently was able to hit the ball so that it would go up, bounce off something, and then go perfectly between the two paddles, so that there's no way I could do anything to hit it.
What in like every single pinball machine ever?
Yeah. And so I just got like frustrated enough with that process that I stopped wanting to play pinball.
That's funny. Well, the thing for me is so my own father, who was kind of, I don't know, really conservative and zero interest in silly video games, that kind of attitude across the board forever. Like in my youth, it was hard to find a lot of commonality where we could hang out with something. But out of nowhere, for whatever reason, he was really into pinball. He like loved pinball. I think it was like probably when he was my age or whatever, or younger, I'll say like pinball was kind of the go-to form of entertainment or something. So we like pinball a lot. So that was the one thing we could actually kind of share somewhat a little bit. I mean, it didn't
That's
happen that
funny.
often, but at the very least, like if I could manage to bring him to the arcade or get him to come with me, we could play pinball. So that kind of, I think in absence of that, I probably never would have really gotten into pinball. But because of that, it was like, okay, I can go with this. So it was kind of cool. You know, you'd go to the arcade, play a few pinball games, and then he'd go do his thing, and I'd play whatever the arcade, the cabinet games for a little bit.
That's funny. There's a guy I used to work with who was originally from Texas, and he was kind of the same way. Like, he never really seemed to show any interest in video games at all. But there was like a bar that we would go to in Australia that had a pinball machine, and like we would go out for group lunches, and he would just like go over and play pinball the whole time when he
Nice.
was waiting for his food to arrive.
Nice, nice. Yeah, at Microsoft, they actually in the common area, like the lunch area, they have a bunch of pinball machines, and it's all free. Like they have configured,
Nice.
you can just play. Yeah, so there is always a huge line, or not a line, just they're always occupied. But if you go in early for lunch, as I do, I can usually get a game in or two if I want to.
Yeah, I remember thinking that was amazing the first time I walked into a business place that had arcade stuff. Shortly after college, I ended up like going to DreamWorks to do a little bit of teaching there. And DreamWorks down in Glendale, they had like an arcade machine that had a bunch of games installed on it. Like, I guess it was an emulator.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
So I remember I played through Street Fighter, like the original Street Fighter, for the first time at DreamWorks. While
Nice,
I was there for like a seminar for a week.
nice.
And then yeah, we at EA in Vancouver, they've got a bunch of machines everywhere too, and so we went there for our holiday party. I took Andrea and Laz there, and
Mhm.
Laz was just so excited to sit on one of those car machines and play a racing game.
Yeah.
He was
Nice.
absolutely terrible driver. I would never trust him in my vehicle, but
Sweet. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so at Microsoft they actually have arcades set up. It's just they're really hard to find kind of because Microsoft's split across like 100 some buildings.
yeah,
And so there's like a mailing list and it's like these are all the there's like a retro gamer mailing list and they have
right.
as part of that they have like a list of where all the cabinets are. It's quite a list. It's like these ones are broken. No one knows who owns these. Please claim them in 5 years or they're up for auction and blah 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 blah. But they're just so spaced out. It's like if I want to go play games, I have to get like a shuttle somewhere, and you know, it's not. I never do because it's not just kind of there in the lobby of the building I work in, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. But I don't know. The effort's appreciated.
Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of emulators, are you aware of or have you ever played MAME?
I am aware of it. I used to have an emulator for it on my PlayStation 3, actually. But I don't know. I just don't really have any nostalgia for that type of game. Like I said, when I was a kid and I had no money, I just ended up preferring playing the other stuff. So
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't. I feel like there's very much incentive for me to emulate that stuff.
Interesting. So I would probably have said the same thing for the most part, I think, but my friend put a bunch. So he has a MAME emulator on. I guess it's an Xbox. It's an old Xbox actually, and it works great. And he just left the Xbox here, so I have this main box, and there's lots to do on it. And so I was kind of just getting into it and playing it, and it's a lot of fun actually. It's less about nostalgia and more about, I guess, just kind of a type of game that I just haven't played a lot. So just getting to play it, and I mean, if obviously arcade games tend to be a certain way, right? You die a lot, but then you can continue as much as you like, and then it tends to be multiple players, which is another draw, right? I can like play games with Key or with whoever, and I just find, I mean, just kind of being, if you're interested in game design and stuff, it's limited, of course. You're not going to play like some awesome strategic game or like some really kind of steep learning curve kind of game, but it is just another kind of genre that achieves certain things in a different way. So I just find it very interesting to go through that library and kind of experiment, I guess. And plus, like I said, I mean, if it's just me and Key, it's like, I want to play a game for 20 minutes, sure, and then we'll just flick something on and screw around.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a lot of really weird games, so it's always fun to find those.
I guess it seems interesting from like a data point of view, where, you know, if you look at the popularity of the latest Zelda game, for example, like it sold really, really well and got lots of pre-reviews and stuff, but that got all of its hype before the game was released, right?
Right.
But with an arcade game, if you look at how much money an arcade game earns, it's only going to earn money if it keeps bringing people back to the machine again and again.
Yeah.
Like if people play it and then that's it, like it's just going to tank.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's kind of what I find interesting. Like they're just designing a game for a different atmosphere, and then what approach they take, I guess.
So I guess it's interesting if you look at some of those games that did earn tons of money, and you can kind of analyze to see what specifically about those mechanics was it that kept people pumping quarters in, which I guess is exactly what people want to do who have microtransactions for like Candy Crush and whatnot. Or
to some extent, yeah.
I guess I should bleep that game name.
For something.
Did you listen to the last podcast where I bleeped out the person's name?
I didn't get a chance. Is it awesome?
I use like the Mega Man death sound.
Nice. I will definitely follow up. Awesome. Funny.
Yeah.
I was thinking about kind of what happened to arcades and how they tend to be less common and stuff, and I was thinking it's interesting to me anyway. I mean, I don't go to like a lot of game cons by any means, but I've been going to, of course, PAX every year, and it's by no means an arcade, but obviously they have all the stuff set up. Like so many people are demoing their game, and then like you have things like the big companies, like they had the huge Street Fighter V set up, and then you have like the smaller companies who just have their game and you can kind of stop by and play it. So it's very different, of course, in that it's not like just a bunch of arcades in a bunch of cabinets in like a dark, almost like a dark alley, and they want your money. But I found it, I got the same positive vibe, I guess, where you walk in and there's a bunch of other video game enthusiasts and you can kind of talk to them and randomly get kind of these matchups with people you don't know and just fight them and have fun and move on. But once you've paid to get in, it's free and you can stay there 5 hours, 1 hour, 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's kind of, I guess, like in terms of filling the void in my life, so to speak. I don't necessarily miss arcades, but I like that you can still have those very public social gaming experiences in different ways now.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was any equivalent of a game con 20 years ago. I could be wrong.
I remember E3 being a thing back
yeah, but
when we
E3
were
was
little.
always, I mean, it's in one place and it's expensive and there's like press. Like, I don't think...
They definitely didn't have the 4 different PAXs around the world back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, E3 was not the kind of place like a 12-year-old would just go to, right? Whereas PAX is very much both, kind of the kids wandering around being like, ooh, and then people like us who are more, I don't know, probably interested in like not just sitting down and playing games all day, but various other
going to lectures.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just thought that was maybe, at least in from my experiences, kind of the closest descendant to the arcades that
I like that different cities do have a culture for it. Like there's an arcade on St. Catharines here in Montreal, and I've gone by at lunchtime, and I have yet to actually go inside, but it always looks busy.
Cool.
But I remember there was an arcade in Vancouver in the International Village area. I don't remember the name of the mall specifically, but it's the one that has the theater in it. Do you know what I'm talking
Uh,
about?
I'm not sure about the arcade specifically. I'm trying
Well,
to.
there was an arcade in that mall, and it was empty.
Oh,
Like I
really?
never saw a single person in there. I took Laz in one or two times, and he had a ball like going around hitting all the brightly colored Sega machines and stuff
Hmm.
where you can like win a Sonic the Hedgehog plush or something.
Yeah.
But there was never
Empty.
anyone in there.
Hmm. There was a pretty.
So
There was. Sorry. Go on.
it's weird how like one city can have such a different culture for it than another.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a in Metrotown. I don't know if you ever went to that mall. They had actually a pretty decent arcade there that had like a lot of newer stuff and a lot of imported stuff, and it was actually kind of a place to go to play like the latest cool stuff. It's
Mm.
expensive though, but it tended to be moderately populated, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's almost like regional within a region even.
One arcade that I would have absolutely loved as a kid, but I avoided like the plague as an adult. There was an arcade in Japantown in San Francisco,
Yeah.
and you know how you can win prizes at some arcades.
Yep.
The prizes that you could win here was all candy.
Wow.
So it's like
A
as
death trap
someone
for
who
you.
has like a gaming and a candy addiction, I was just like, okay, fuck, I'm not going in there ever.
Uh, uh, yeah, it's like heroin.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it looked amazing aside from my personal issues with it.
You just needed a chaperone to follow you around
Yeah,
and gather your
exactly.
winnings and donate them or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah. Was it like more of a Japanese style arcade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was like very Japanese. Like all the games were definitely in Japanese.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, there was no like Pong or Pac-Man or anything like that.
yeah. Right. I don't know. I find it interesting the it's almost like the aesthetics of a Japanese arcade are just different.
Yeah,
Somehow it's like it's more lit up, but
flashing blue
and it's
and white
louder and
lights.
flashing lights and everything, and the cabinets are different, right?
Yeah,
Like, when I picture a typical cabinet over here, it's that really hard to describe shape, but it's like a giant box.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
black and the screen's in the top half, and then it kind of juts out in the middle, and you can play or whatever, like really arcade, really like Atari era
yeah,
blockiness.
yeah,
And in Japan, it's like those almost quite consistently those white like kind of UFO shaped
yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say
pods.
like round shaped things.
Yeah, with a chair in front, with a stool in front of them. And that's so
Yeah,
standard. It's like you go. So I've been in arcades and they have like the newer game section and the older game section. The new game section is like 100 yen per play, and the old game section is like 10 yen per play, which is
yeah,
awesome. And it's the same physical cabinet housing both games in many cases.
yeah,
I mean, if it's custom hardware for the game, like steering wheels and stuff to smack and stuff, that's one thing. But like I see like very modern fighting games in like this like obviously grubby older cabinet that they've had for however long, and they just put the game right in, and that's it, right? And that's
yeah.
just standard, I guess. And
Yeah,
it's
that
I
was
don't
like
know.
part of the appeal of those machines is that they were able to just replace the artwork on the side or replace
Yeah,
the motherboard on the inside.
yeah, yeah. Which is I think so. That resulted in like kind of a collector's market too, because you
Yeah.
had people throwing things out and like losing parts that were super rare and stuff. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I actually have a original Donkey Kong Jr. arcade panel in my little nerd room here,
Nice.
1981 or something. And the way I got it, I forget why. It was back to that mailing list at the company, just the retro game enthusiast list or whatever. And some guy was mentioning he used to run a game store, and he since Nintendo of America is like a 2 minute walk from my office, literally. And this guy was working in the same office at the time or nearby anyway. Well, wait, I guess he was running a game store. He was in the area, but he would go dumpster diving at Nintendo of America all the time. And so
Nice.
one time he just found like a whole bunch of Donkey Kong Jr. panels that had been thrown out, and he just grabbed them all. So he just gave me one. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it's
Nice.
like worth anything or whatever, but I mean that's like 35 years old. So
You know,
yeah,
I think remembering back, I think an arcade version of Donkey Kong at a campground may have been the very first time I saw a video game.
hmm, nice,
Or
nice.
at least it's the first time I remember seeing one.
Interesting. The first video game I remember seeing of all games, this is the honest truth, is E.T. on the old Atari.
Nice.
I had a cousin who had it, and of course, I had no
I hear that
concept
was
of.
a fantastic game.
Well, I had no concept of a good game and a bad game. So to me, it was just like awesome. Like you bend the joystick around, and this thing on the screen, like his neck goes right. Like it was,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fun for me. So I don't know if I'd call it a fond memory, but I don't. When I hear people talk about ET, I don't just immediately think I think back to being at my grandfather's house and my cousin bringing his Atari over and us playing ET on Atari. I don't even think I'd seen the movie or didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably didn't know what it was.
You were probably too young to see it.
Probably, don't they say like damn in the movie or something? I don't know.
I think like if I recall correctly, there's like an argument between the two kids at the very beginning of the movie, and one calls the other
Yeah.
penis breath.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as soon as that happened, my mom shut off the movie, and I never got to watch it. And so I don't think I've ever seen it.
Come on, Spielberg, get your family movies in line.
Yeah. It was like
Awesome.
the same way with I wasn't allowed to watch Indiana Jones because of the whole face melting thing.
Oh, really? I remember trying to rent like Japanese cartoons when it was like fresh, like it was like 1993, and everyone was like, "You should see these cartoons coming out of Japan, man. They're called anime and like whatever,
Yeah.
right?" And so my grandmother lived in St. Catharines, Ontario, and we'd go, and they had a video game store that was awesome, and it had like all these imported games and imported whatever, and they had a huge section of like just Japanese cartoons, and I remember begging my mom to let me rent like these awesome looking. I don't know if you've heard of Appleseed. I
Yeah,
remember
I've
that
heard
one.
of it. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it.
it's just like robot cops and stuff. But at the time, I
Yeah.
was like, "That's the coolest thing ever!" Oh my god! And like the back of the box, of course, has like this explicit warning to parents
Yeah.
contains dun 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 dun. So my mom never let me rent anything. And then
Yeah.
you grow up a bit and you rent it, and it's like the character says shit. There's 3 explosions and like you know some weird pointless shower scene or something. Is like the most tame thing ever. I mean, not always. Some of them are brutal, but like the stuff I'd wanted to watch was typically honestly pretty tame. So I missed out on a lot of art, man. Come on.
Yeah. I think my favorite anime shower scene was Chun-Li.
That's everyone's favorite, isn't it? It's always so gratuitous, right?
Yeah.
Well, they probably
Uh,
figured we know who's watching these. It's
Exactly.
like retarded, like 11-year-old males who are like excited to see Chung Li, who is shaped in the way they want to see her shaped.
Yeah.
Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
Yay
And then she
for-
beats up Vega.
I kind of remember that. Yeah. I owned the VHS. Like I'm telling you, my mom kept me
I
away
think
from all this.
I
but
think you
somehow I
gave me the VHS.
That's entirely possible because I certainly don't have it now.
I'm pretty sure you gave that to me along with Mega Man 8.
Awesome. Oh man, ridiculous. Did I really give you Mega Man 8?
Yeah, you gave me Mega Man 8 when I was going to Sheridan.
Like gave, not sell, but gave.
Yeah, you like gave it to me as a going away present.
Was I like, I hate this? You're welcome.
Yeah, basically.
That's hilarious. It's funny that I've since reacquired it. It's like, what?
Why?
I don't know. I think it was like, so I have the Saturn version of all versions, and I think it was
Okay.
like, I was like, I have a Saturn
fixes
and I need
everything.
games. Yeah, well, I was like, I can relate more to my Saturn game collection if I've at least kind of heard of some of the titles, So I wanted to buy the Capcom games I knew and the whatever, but ridiculous, ridiculous.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gave that one to me, and then I played it, and then I think I like told you the next year is like, you can have this back if you want. And you're like, no, that's okay.
You should you should have like given it to someone else. It's like, what do they call it when you pay for the guy behind you at the drive-through, the like pay it back,
Pay it forward. Or...
pay it forward. Yeah, so you could like we should do that with like copies of Final Fantasy 8 too. Just like pay it forward, right?
The thing about that is that most people seem to genuinely love Final Fantasy VIII.
We'd be genuinely paying it forward then.
Sometimes I feel like it's only you and me that hate it.
I can't believe how often I meet people who like adore the game. I could like write a thesis on everything I hate about it.
We're gonna do that as a podcast.
Probably. I would happily do that. I mean, I've literally, I of course I haven't played it in like a few years, but last time I did play it was like, it's I don't know. You ever like play a game?
I think I actually played through the game in its entirety 2 times.
Wow, man. I have 1.5, which is terrible. But you ever play a game or watch a movie or whatever, and you think that was so awesome or that was so horrible, and then like years pass and you play it again or you watch the movie again, and it's like, oh, why did I think that? Like,
yeah.
I remember picking Final Fantasy VIII up and being like, super open mind. I know a lot of the visual things don't appeal to you or whatever, but super open mind. And I just hated it the last time I played it as well. The time I actually played it right to the very end. Hated it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think we will another time. We're at a 51-minute mark right now, so I think we should call it quits, and then we can spend another 50 minutes sometime ranting about nothing but Final Fantasy VIII.
Happily. Okay. What's a good closing? What was your favorite arcade game? What was your favorite arcade experience? Let's go with that.
I really liked playing Cruisin' USA.
Cruisin' USA, awesome. Sunset Riders, man.
When you're a kid and you get to be behind the wheel of a car, it's empowering.
That's fair. What's the other game I like a lot? There's a driving game I like. What's it called? It's got like it almost sounds like a poorly structured English sentence even. It's Outrun? Is that what it's called?
That was a game.
I can't remember if that's the one. The one by the same guy who made like Shenmue and stuff. Anyway, I like that a lot. Outrun? Oh man, I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, cool. You ever play Sunset Riders?
I can't remember doing it.
Outrun is the game I'm thinking of. Sunset Riders is a lot of fun. It's just like a cowboy game, but you're like on a horse, like I don't know, just shooting things. It feels like Metal Slug, but in the Wild West, I guess. And then you have multiple people on the screen at the same time. Good game. At least it felt like a great game in like 1994 or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh man, I just looked up Cruisin' USA on eBay, and I could totally buy it for over $2,000.
What, like the box itself?
Like the arcade machine.
Sweet. Those things are not cheap, man. Not cheap. Common piece of junk game that no one wants is like $800 or something.
I didn't notice that eBay allows you to do layaway.
Really?
You can pay $82 for 24 months.
It almost sounds sensible.
Now, and that actually makes me want to buy it now.
And that's why
I'm not going to.
That's why eBay has a layaway.
Yeah. All right.
Cool, man.
I'm gonna have to go check out that arcade on St. Catharines one of these days, and
you will,
report
man. You
back.
will. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to my next stopover in the Far East and play some stuff.
Nice.
Yes. There's actually a closing note. There's a kind of I don't know. I wouldn't call it a red light district, but like kind of just where all the businessmen go after work and drink their ass off, and like there's like hostess girls and whatever else.
Yeah.
There's like that kind of area, probably in every major city in probably all of Asia, but in
Tokyo.
Well, yeah, of course, but in Sapporo actually there's one, and in that area they have a Famicom bar. That's what it's called, Famicom bar, and it's just like a little bar, like a Japanese style one, and they have video games everywhere, and their motto is like relive those times. Blah 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 blah. So I've been meaning to stop over there and check it out, but hasn't happened yet. So that's on the list for next time. Anyway,
Nice.
I'll keep you posted.
All right. Next week, let me know how that goes.
Will do. Will do.
All right. Catch you later, dude.
Yeah. Take care, man. I'm gonna sneak back in bed. I hope.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Happy Sunday.